Hey, what's going on, guys? Realm Gaming here, back with another video. In today's episode, we're going to do a quick review over the Priest hero talents, specifically the Discipline Priest hero talents in the War Within. So let's go ahead and start with Oracle first, because I don't think Oracle is the stronger of the two, but I do want to at least cover it because I do think it is, somewhat viable. I'm sure this will get buffed quite a bit, but right now it is not keeping up with Voidweaver. So the Oracle tree is going to revolve around 3 spells here: Premonition of Piety, Premonition of Insight, and then Premonition of Solace. So Insight here reduces the cooldown of your next 3 spell cast by 7 seconds. Piety here increases your healing done by 10% and causes 50% of overhealing on players to be redistributed to up to 3 nearby allies for 15 seconds. That one's pretty cool. And then Solace here at the bottom, your next single target heal spell grants your target a shield that absorbs X amount of damage and reduces their damage taken by 15% for 15 seconds. So there's actually a 4th effect from this spell. If we go all the way to the bottom of the tree here, Clairvoyance. So casting Premonition of Solace invokes Clairvoyance, expanding your mind and opening up all possibilities of the future. And basically what this is going to do is this is going to cast all 3 of the other spells. So you can cast all 3 of these at the exact same time. So I think what we're probably going to be doing here is we're going to be pairing this with a large burst cooldown so that we can get the maximum effect from it. So one thing to note is that this is on a pretty low recharge time. It's on a 1-minute recharge time, and you can also pair it with something like Perfect Vision here in the bottom right hand corner that will further reduce its cooldown by an additional 15 seconds. I think another pretty interesting talent here is Waste No Time. So Premonition causes your next Powered Radiance cast to be instant and costs 15% less mana. So very similar to one of the Dragonflight seasonal set bonuses for those instant cast Powered Radiances that feel really nice to cast. Looks like they're trying to bring it back here as a talent. The main problem that I have with this tree, and it's in the other tree as well, the Void tree, but we have so many talents here that are contributing to Power Word Shield. And this could be the PvP tree. I'm not 100% sure, but it just feels kind of awkward to have so many talents. We have 1, 2, 3 talents here that all geared towards Power Word Shield. I think there's a 4th, Power Word Life. I think there's a 4th one in here somewhere too, but it just feels weird to have so many talents go towards a spell that's so expensive and just something we don't utilize too much in PvE content. Overall, with this tree, there's just not enough throughput through it, and that's from both a damage standpoint and both a healing standpoint. This could work. Like, this tree could potentially work okay if Voidweaver didn't exist. And Voidweaver is, to me, let's just go ahead and segue into Voidweaver, because I think everybody's going to be running Voidweaver over Oracle in PvE content. But I still wanted to go over Oracle just in case, because it could be viable. It's not completely not viable or anything. I mean, you could run it, but I think when you compare it to Voidweaver, you'd be missing out on a whole bunch if you didn't run this tree. So not only do I think Voidweaver is the best hero talent tree for Discipline Priest, I think this is the best hero talent tree that I've seen in terms of healers so far in War Within. I've covered Shaman, Holy Pally, Mistweaver Monk, Restoration Druid, and now I'm doing Priest, and this is just the best tree overall that I've seen so far. Every single talent here feels impactful in a Mythic Plus environment. So the main part of this tree is going to be Entropic Rift here. So Mind Blast tears open an Entropic Rift that follows the enemy for 8 seconds. Enemies caught within the path suffer 80% of spell power, yada yada yada. It does damage. So while this rift is active, you get access to something here called a Void Blast. So Void Blast is basically just going to be a beefed up smite. It's like a shadow form of smite, and you're only going to have access to it while your rift here is open. Now, so by default, it does a whole bunch of single target damage, which leads to a whole bunch of healing through Atonement. But what gets even better about this is Void Infusion. So while this is active, Atonement healing with Void Blast is 100% more effective. So this is basically going to make this Rift an insane healing cooldown for us. It's going to turn Mind Blast into just an absolutely insane healing cooldown for us. And it's going to give us access to basically this entire tree. So pretty much just know this. This tree is, for the most part, locked behind Mind Blast. So you want to make sure you're getting high uptime on Mind Blast. You're not leaving it on cooldown. Another interesting talent here we have is Depth of Shadows versus a Void Wraith. So Depth of Shadows, Shadow Word Death has a high chance to summon a Shadow Fiend for 5 seconds when damaging targets below 20% health. So this is really good because our Shadow Fiend is going to generate mana. So if you are running into mana issues, you could run this. You could also run a Void Wraith if you want to do a little bit more damage. So basically you transform your Shadow Fiend into a Void Wraith. You cast a Void Flay, dealing up to 50% additional damage. And this does more damage to higher health enemies. So this is something that you would probably pop pre-pull. Well, on pull, I guess. As we all know, the first like 10 to 15 seconds of a pull are going to be the most dangerous. So this is going to kind of help us offset some of that big initial damage on pull. So you kind of have options there. I think both of those talents are pretty strong. And then let's kind of take a step back here for a second and go back to our Entropic Rift ability. And the left-hand side of the tree is going to really buff your Entropic Rift. So first thing we have here is kind of minor. We have no escape versus dark energy. The Rift can slow enemies, or if you take dark energy, it can buff your speed. We also have a Void Heart here in the bottom left. So when Entropic Rift is active, your atonement healing is increased by 10%. Then we also have a Collapsing Void. So each time Penance damages or heals, the Entropic Rift is empowered, and it's going to increase its damage and size by 10%. So at the end of the Rift, it's going to basically collapse, and it's going to do a big burst of AoE damage. It's going to do 550% of spell power, which is a lot. So you want to make sure when this void collapses that you have your atonement up, because it's going to be a lot of burst healing. So again, overall, I think the Voidweaver is probably one of the coolest talent trees that I've seen out of all the healers so far. You can tell a lot of thought was put into this. Everything synergizes and flows well. It takes in the core aspect of Discipline Priest, you know, kind of weaving between Shadow and Holy. And it just, you know, it's just overall a good tree in my opinion. And I think it is what we will be running over Oracle in the War Within. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We also have some socials in the description of the video if you guys want to check those out and potentially support the channel. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.